It took 6 years, 50 million lives, and countless battles, but victory didn't come from strength alone. It came from desperation, innovation, and a willingness to bleed longer than anyone else. From the frozen ruins of Stalingrad, to the beaches of Normandy, to the burning skies over Berlin, this is how the Allies finally broke the Axis, one brutal step at a time. The war's bloodiest battle began in the unlikeliest of places, a factory city on the Volga River. Hitler called it the key to the East. Stalin called it the line that must not break. For 5 months, the streets of Stalingrad became a furnace of flesh and steel. Soviet snipers hunted Germans from rubble heaps. Whole units were buried alive in collapsed buildings. Temperatures dropped below freezing, yet men fought with knives, pipes, and fists. But then came the Soviet counterstroke, Operation Uranus. Entire German armies were encircled. For the first time, Hitler's war machine bled uncontrollably. The Sixth Army was trapped, starved, frozen, and finally surrendered. Stalingrad wasn't just a victory, it was the fracture that proved the Axis could fall. Russia froze, Africa burned. In the sands of Egypt, 2 legends clashed: Rommel, the desert fox, and Montgomery, the meticulous planner. For months, their tanks danced across dunes, trading ambushes and artillery barrages. The British were outgunned, but not outthought. Montgomery restructured supply lines, trained at night, and turned fuel shortages into traps. Then, under the roar of 1,000 guns, the British Eighth Army attacked. The desert exploded with fire. When the smoke cleared, the Axis Corps was in retreat. Churchill called it the end of the beginning. For the Allies, El Alamein proved that Axis invincibility was a myth. Dominating the skies became the next battlefront. German cities burned under Allied bombers by night. American planes tore apart factories by day. Every raid cost lives. Hundreds of young airmen never returned home. But slowly, the tide turned. The Allies perfected long-range escort fighters, the legendary P-51 Mustang, able to protect bombers deep into enemy territory. With radar, code-breaking, and industrial might, the Allies shattered the Luftwaffe. By 1944, the skies above Europe no longer belonged to the Reich. And then, the greatest gamble in military history. June 6, 1944, Operation Overlord, the largest amphibious invasion ever launched. 156,000 men stormed the beaches of Normandy under relentless fire. Omaha Beach became a slaughterhouse. Machine guns tore through waves of soldiers before they even touched land. But the Allies adapted in real time. Engineers blew through obstacles. Medics crawled through surf to save the fallen. By nightfall, a fragile foothold existed, a line in the sand that would expand into liberation. Behind every victory that followed, from Paris to Berlin, stood those men who refused to die before their mission was done. While Europe fought for survival, the Pacific burned. After Pearl Harbor, Japan swept across Asia unchecked, until one battle changed everything. Midway, 4 Japanese carriers destroyed in a single day thanks to codebreakers and daring pilots. From there, the Allies began their island-by-island climb. Guadalcanal, Saipan, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, each a storm of fire and blood. The Japanese fought to the last man, and civilians were caught in the Inferno. The Allies responded with overwhelming force, and in August 1945, with the unthinkable, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The world ended one war only by unleashing a weapon that threatened all wars to come. In Europe, the nightmare approached its end. The Soviets advanced from the east, the Americans and British closed from the west. Hitler's empire shrank to the ruins of Berlin. Civilians hid in cellars as the city shook. Children fought as soldiers. The Red Army encircled the capital, house by house, street by street. Artillery fire turned the Reichstag into dust. On April 30th, 1945, Hitler ended his life in the bunker below the city he swore to protect. A week later, the guns fell silent. Victory didn't look like triumph. It looked like exhaustion. Cities in ruins, millions displaced, entire generations gone. But from that wreckage came something new. The United Nations, reconstruction, a fragile hope that humanity had learned enough from its own destruction to never repeat it. The Allies won not because they were perfect, but because they refused to surrender when the world seemed lost. From the Volga to the Pacific, from the ashes of Stalingrad to the gates of Berlin, it was not weapons that ended the war. It was endurance. The bloodiest battles of World War II were won not by heroes, but by survivors.